Baldwin IV, remembered by history as the Leper King, stands as one of the most striking and tragic figures of the Crusader era. His life, besides ruling a kingdom, was a daily struggle against a ruthless disease, political enemies, and society's prejudice. Hello, welcome to History Night. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss another video. Born in 1165 in the Kingdom of Jerusalem, Baldwin was the son of King Amalric I and Agnes of Courtenay. Even as a boy, he showed unusual resilience. He could take a fall from a horse without flinching, endure sword blows without complaint, and remarkably, didn't react to pain. It was that very lack of sensation that first alarmed his tutors. By the age of 9, doctors confirmed the unthinkable. Baldwin had leprosy. At the time, it was a death sentence. Leprosy slowly ravaged the body, turned people into outcasts, and condemned them to die alone. But Baldwin's story didn't end there. He was taken in by the Knights of St. Lazarus, a rare order of warrior monks who cared for lepers and, in many cases, were lepers themselves. They offered him shelter, also fought to protect his dignity, and proved that he posed no risk to others, saving him from being disinherited. Thanks to them, Baldwin not only kept his royal title, he began preparing to rule. At 13, he became king, and not in name only. He governed, forged alliances, and led armies into battle. And even as his illness worsened, as his legs failed, his vision dimmed, and his strength faded, his will stayed intact. One of the most extraordinary moments of his reign came in 1177 at the Battle of Montgisard. Baldwin was just 16. He could barely stay upright in the saddle. But he still led his outnumbered army against one of the greatest military leaders of the age, Saladin. The Crusaders had about 375 knights, 80 Templars, and roughly 4,000 infantry. Saladin's force was 5 or 6 times larger. Estimates range from 20,000 to 26,000 men. At the time, Saladin had already laid siege to Ascalon and was plundering nearby towns. His army was spread out, and Baldwin saw his chance. Instead of meeting the enemy head-on, he took a back route from Ascalon and struck from behind, while Saladin's troops were still gathering. Before the attack, Baldwin had the relic of the True Cross lifted high for his men to see. He knelt in prayer, then gave the order to charge. The plan was clear: hit the center, hard and fast. Baldwin led the charge himself. Templars hit the flanks, supported by the forces of Reynald of Chatillon. The assault broke through the heart of Saladin's lines and caused immediate panic. The terrain worked against the Muslims, muddy and uneven in places. It bogged down their cavalry, especially on the flanks where maneuverability was the key. Baldwin's men, by contrast, had picked their ground carefully. Once the line broke, the Crusaders didn't let up. They pursued the enemy for nearly 12 miles. Contemporary accounts say only 1/10 of Saladin's army made it out. Saladin himself barely escaped, riding a racing camel, according to legend. His personal guard, the men who fought closest to him, were killed buying time for his escape. Most of his elite cavalry was either cut down or fled in disarray. Historian Stephen Runciman wrote that up to 90% of Saladin's forces were wiped out, not just a military defeat, but a blow to his prestige. The victory shocked the Muslim world and electrified Christendom. Here was a teenage king, described by chronicler William of Tyre as already half dead, leading a devastating attack against impossible odds. Even Saladin later admitted,
"God does not wish this kingdom to fall during the reign of such a king."
The battle sealed Baldwin's legacy. As a commander, a leader, and a symbol of unshakable faith. The truce that followed didn't last, but Montgisard had already earned Baldwin international fame. In just 11 years on the throne, he achieved more than many healthy kings did in decades. He held the kingdom together through invasions, succession crises, feudal rivalries, and through the slow, brutal erosion of his own body. Knowing he didn't have long, Baldwin acted with foresight. He arranged his sister Sibylla's marriage to secure the royal line, appointed regents, and kept ruling even when confined to his bed. He never stepped back. His story got a second life through Ridley Scott's Kingdom of Heaven. But like most Hollywood portrayals, the truth was romanticized. On screen, we see a masked monarch walking, negotiating with Saladin, calm and composed. In reality, by 1184, Baldwin was blind, paralyzed, and bedridden. There was no shining metal mask, just a veil, worn to hide the worst effects of the disease from his subjects. Ironically, that cinematic version, the king with no face, made Baldwin an icon for modern audiences. He became a symbol of sacrifice, courage, and quiet defiance. He died at 24, physically broken but unbowed. In the eyes of his people, he was remembered as a wise, just, and brave ruler. The kingdom he left behind managed to stand for several more years, and his legacy still lives, 8 centuries later.